Hey, it's me. I switch the receiver to my other hand. Hold on. I crane my neck to glimpse the clock above the departure screen. It's 5:40 a.m., Vancouver time. I pause, listening to the stillness of my sister's voicemail. I'm about to board my flight, so, guess I'll see you soon, sis. I sigh. No one there to meet my sound. See you soon, I say again, hanging up. The little light clicks off as the flight attendant's voice fills the cabin. The captain has now turned off the fasten seatbelt sign. I stare out the window at the crisp white dents in sunlit clouds. I took out a line of credit for this. I hug my backpack against my chest.
Ayeyofani is lost again, right in front of Kathy's Kiwi Mart and smoke shop. I recognize her green sweater and frail frame against the seductive black and white perfume ad in the bus shelter behind her. Believe in your beauty, it whispers. She sits patiently on a cold bench looking down the street, one hand firmly gripping a cane, the other shaking gently in her lap. I was fascinated by Rochelle from the moment I saw her beside her locker on the first day of grade 11. There were no other Black girls at West Acres High School, and unlike me, she was unapologetically and unquestioningly Black. I wore my color shamefully, doubtingly, shrugging it on like a robe each day, hoping no one would notice it. I crept through the school as an interloper, pretending that if I wore the same clothes and listened to the same music and spoke the same way as my classmates did, I could infiltrate their social circles and become so familiar to them that they would forget that they had called me Pooh Face throughout my elementary school years. I knew that I could never actually be white, but I believed I could still belong.
Mama always told Sifa not to answer the phone at night. Mama would never answer the phone after midnight, even if she was sitting right by it. Sifa used to count the rings of the phone until it fell silent. She used to count the times family members would call to report deaths. She doesn't remember when she stopped counting.
I met him at a poetry reading. He didn't strike me as someone particularly interesting. I forgot about him until weeks later when he tagged me in a series of photographs he had taken. I didn't recognize myself in them, but I wanted to. It took me a month to respond to his dozen DMs. I asked if he would take more photographs of me. My first week living alone has Neil written all over it. He was the first boy I had ever had in my bed. My bed, which I mentally owned, which I came home to night after night as an adult child, which had pillows and a comforter and a matching bedside table that I had paid for. The room and the bed went for $550 a month. It was a room in a house that was falling apart, but I didn't care because it was mine to fall apart in.
I lie till my belly feels like it's about to bust. What's that on your face? Mama screaming at me. What's that in your mouth? She got my head tilted back, staring down past my teeth into my throat hole. She got one eye closed and the other staring wide. My brown throat scratched and my belly set to rumble. Lord, this child been swallowing creatures whole, she say. Mama looked deep, deep down into my belly and see judges with they white powdered wigs on, they hooved feet and long fingers scratching for the verdict.
Jerry waited beneath the underpass for Trey, away from the street lamp's light. Not many people were out in that part of the city, but he could always take out his phone and pretend to chat if anyone got close. It was cold, really cold, and under any other circumstance, Jerry would have gone down to Trey's apartment in the Junction. But Trey insisted that he pick Jerry up, promised a free dinner for his time, even a ride part of the way to his house. Jerry had agreed, but he was regretting it now. Nina was home alone and it was getting dark.
Patrice Martin was hunting in Gontier 1 hour's drive east of Port-au-Prince when he collapsed onto the rocky earth. He brought his hand to his chest, squeezed his eyes shut, and rolled onto his back. He took 3 ragged breaths and then let out as loud a yell as he could manage.
I noticed it first in my dreams. the heavy silence. In my dreams, we communicate in mute pantomime, our gestures exaggerated like characters in a silent film. You're washing the ceiling, gesturing at the greasy handprints. How did they get there? Your face seems to ask of me, your eyes bulging. Or maybe, are you just going to lie there, or are you going to help me?
At school, teacher asked me to stand beside my desk. All the children eyes on me. Teacher smiling like when I get all my spelling words correct. Lucy and Sweetie smiling too. They already know that I'm leaving for foreign soon. Darren not smiling. He probably surprised that teacher asked me to stand beside my desk, cause he usually the one that get asked. Teacher asked him to stand beside his desk when he do perfect in spelling, when he get excellent in penmanship, and when he the first to memorize his times tables. The day before fate rendered my mother's tongue silent, I was brushing my teeth after a millet porridge breakfast when she walked up to me and said, "I had a dream last night. There was a bright shining star. I've prayed about it. I think you are the star in my dream." She limped away before I could find an appropriate spot between clay flower pots to spit out the toothpaste froth that filled my mouth. All day long at school, I wondered what I could have said in response. I told my friend Sarafina, and she said mothers as a group were dramatic.